Hello everyone, this is Jimmy Cultist back again with another Dreams tutorial. This time we're going to be covering basic inventory, how to create an inventory system. So let's just open up the puppet logic, delete these two useless things right here. And we'll put out a node. Actually, one thing we might want to do real quick, but this is for later. When you're making an inventory, it's good to make a little block of material inside the character space. Not grouped with the character though, that's unnecessary. And you can label it pretty much anything you like. But variables, these little doodads here, are what mainly controls collectibles in any video game, you know, that you're going to make in Dreams. Set the minimum value to 0. And for this, the maximum maximum value is going to be 1. Persist in Dream will also be active if you want things to carry over from level to level. Basically, save data. Sword 1. That's what we're going to call it. And we're going to stick a little sword onto the puppet. But first, we're gonna hook this up to the power node on that sword. That'll turn off all collidability and all other factors that might be in play. Just in case, though, when it turns on, I want to make sure it's non-collidable. Then we're gonna group it, scope in, and just group it with the hand, and that should do it. Next we're going to take out a chip. This is going to operate as our selection system for items. I suppose this will do as an icon. Now the most basic method of doing this is with a selector, of course. We're going to have the button that turns our selection on, basically opens your inventory. We're going to have it be the touchpad. Now we're going to take out another chip. And we're going to take the B output, put it up to the power node, like so. And this is going to open up our inventory. Actually, it's probably better that we, this is going to open up our display for the inventory, to make that clear, not the actual selector itself. But we are going to have the selector be active. And the way it works is, take the B output and hook it up to the power of this selector. So once the inventory is open, you'll be able to scroll through the selection with this second selector. We're going to hook these two things up here, and we're going to use the D-pad, right and left keys, as a method of selection. Right is always top, and left is always bottom, if you want to have that work, you know, the way people expect it to be. Actually, on second thought, let's hook it up to these so that the selection you make can always remain active. So just disregard connecting that to the power node, instead connect it to these two things. Alright. Now we're going to put this in here. Oh wait, not in here. We're going to put it on there. Put it on here. And the first selection is going to be, well, we're going to want it to be nothing actually. The second selection is going to be the sword. So basic selection, no sword equipped. Second selection, or the B output, is going to be our first sword. So, let's set up a visual indicator for our inventory so that it looks nice and snappy. Now there are several ways to go about this, but I'm going to use one of the most basic methods. Gee, this is my traditional method for filling out text boxes. To fill it with G's. The layer is very important. You want the sort order to be 0. This designates, when you put out text boxes, which one is on top of which. Order of priority, I think they call it, something like that. And we're going to temporarily turn on the power just so we can see what's going on while we're messing around with this. Turn down the opacity, turn off the borders and the shadows. Actually, turn back on the borders, that's actually kind of important. And we're going to mess around with the width. Going to have it nice and fat. Alright. We're going to stamp out 3 for the 3 items that will be available. Maybe darken this up somewhat. And when we select this, we don't want the puppet to move around, at least that's traditional in inventory systems. You could potentially make it so that you can open it on the go. But for now I'm going to do it with the puppet having the movement disabled. Now you can really use any kind of symbol. But for now we're going to use a 1 to represent our first weapon. Let me quickly look up the icons on the InDreams website. By the way, if you go to the InDreams website and go to Getting Started, you can find a lot of helpful information on how to make icons for various weapons and whatnot, and it's quite illuminating, so just keep that in mind. If you're a beginner at Dreams, or even a pro for that matter, there's some helpful stuff in there. So we're gonna go ahead and make an icon, something a little bit more interesting than 1. And it's going to be Sword A. There we go. It's a nice little icon, handy dandy little trick. By the way, I would like to thank MM for adding all the extra icons, it's really helpful. Another thing you're going to do is put this little keyframe below here. We're going to kind of slightly dull the opacity of these selections, so that when you select one, the opacity is turned up. You know, and it makes it easy to indicate which one you're currently on. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and copy out another icon because we're going to need this later. Sword B. Let's move it over here. Yeah, that's looking nice. And really, there's lots of ways that you could go about this. I'm just showing the most basic method I can think of. And we're going to go ahead and connect the B output to the first one, and add 2 more for the other selections that are going to be there. Not sure what to do with the curved sword. I think I'll just copy out this and maybe change this color slightly or something. It's the best we can do. There doesn't happen to be a curved sword selection, so that's what we're going to have to go with. Let's go ahead and hook up those nodes. C will be the broadsword. I would encourage you to label all your nodes and whatnot when you're making this logic. So if you want to, like, you know, make it obvious which one is selected. Broad sword. Then you can easily hover over it and see. But in the meantime, I'm going to avoid most of that just because it's time consuming and boring. We're mainly getting to the meat of this situation. Let's go ahead and stamp out another node. Just gonna hover this over here with precise move. Scope in once, scope in twice. There we have it. Connect D to there. Something's not right. Must have not removed that power. Yes, there we go. Not sure what's up with these. Oh, there. Don't know why I did that. It's stupid. Shouldn't have those wires connected. The power will automatically come on when we turn it on, so... As you can see, we can now select from all the different weapons. The icons, at least. We're gonna want to just pop it up at the touchpad. Scroll through. And you can select anything you want. The puppet can't move in this state. But if you want the puppet to be able to do it on the fly for whatever reason, maybe you're making a FromSoft game in which there is no pause button, you can just select them on the fly. You could even do away with the necessity of opening the inventory and just have the selection always active. Take off this black side. There you see. You can just do it on the fly anytime you want. Yeah, that didn't go all the way in. I guess I didn't scope all the way. That's why it's good to test things. There we go. Although I would advise, if you're going to have the selection on the fly, I would reduce the size of the icons. They're a bit large. I might make them a little less, you know, gigantic if you're going to have it more, you know, always active, always on the HUD, so to speak. But now I want to address another little tidbit of information concerning inventories, and this is not, this is more for things like bombs and usable items like arrows, but it's just something to note about constant variables. Okay, so we're going to assume that this is the bow and its arrows or whatever. And we're going to set the maximum value to 25. And we may have to set this to 25. Alright. Still not working. Sometimes Dreams is odd to me. Current value. Alright, if we reverse this, it should work. There we go. 25. So, assume you have 25 arrows active. And just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to put this right here on the puppet's chip. Notice how it resets to 0. Now I'm going to make another demonstration. Set the initial value to 0. Going to put this little variable modifier on here. Set it to bow. Give you 12 arrows, let's say. Alright, we have 12 arrows. Fall over the cliff. Resets to 0 permanently. So, that's why this handy little block exists. Put the variable on the block separate from the puppet. Oh, we gotta reset the timeline. Alright, 12 arrows. Fall over the cliff. You've still got 12 arrows, so always remember with variables that are set to persist in Dream, put them on a separate object from the puppet, otherwise they reset. A big, big help to beginners, I'm sure, because I didn't know this at first and I had to correct a lot of things once I discovered it. But anyway, we're done talking about that sort of thing. I will talk about something else that's interesting concerning inventory. So, if you simply hook this current value to the power of this node, you can make it so that sword doesn't show up unless you have that variable active. Another thing you can do is hook it up to the display of the sword. So it doesn't even show up in your inventory unless the variable is active. And for one other interesting tidbit of information, did you know that if your game is linear, which I would advise many games in Dreams to be linear just for the sake of convenience, you can actually make pretty large games just so long as they play out in a linear fashion. But let me show you a little trick. You can take a calculator that's right here, take it out, and set the value greater than 0.99. Okay. Hook it up to the node. Hook it up to that. Okay, so you're probably wondering, what does this do? Well, in a video game, when you collect new items, each time you're going to be adding a point to this variable. So when you have the first sword, and we're going to reset the maximum value to 3 for this, you pick up the first sword, say it's early in the game. Also, let me set the value to 1, the initial value, reverse the scene. Okay, so you have the first sword. Say you picked it up in the tree dungeon or something, for the sake of demonstration. Now we're going to do something else that's interesting. Value greater than 1.99. Alright. Hopefully this isn't too boring. Alright, let's go ahead and hook this up to the power of this node. Now let's say you collect the broadsword. Only instead of making a completely different variable, you're using the same variable, just one more point was added to it. And as long as you can't go to the place that added the point, as long as it's blocked off from you and you have a variable controlling your entrance to the place where you found the sword, you won't be able to get more points than you're supposed to. So say you pick it up in a little locked room, then you leave, and the room is locked forever, because this variable keeps it locked when it's at 2. Now, you have the broadsword, too. We're going to hook this up to this real quick, because I forgot to do this. Take it back. I didn't do something right. Oh, yes. Set it to 2.99 for the third item. And always remember, greater than on the calculator. Alright, so you can't select the third item because you haven't got that one yet. But what this means, as long as you're keeping track of what you're doing, and you know which variables are active, and you prevent people from activating more than they're supposed to, and prevent them from entering areas before they are supposed to, as long as your game is somewhat linear, it could be a very large adventure akin to The Legend of Zelda. But here's the cool thing. You could potentially have a really, really large inventory using a single persistent variable. Like you could have 8 swords connected to one variable, which would save on your overall persistent variable limit in Dreams, which is 128, in case you're interested. I tested it, and other people have already said it, but I had to see for myself just to be sure. You can have 128 persistent variables. Non-persistent variables, I think you can have more than that, but it doesn't matter too much. If you're creating a big adventure, one variable is all you need. This could go for more than just swords. It could go for all sorts of things. Open doors and all sorts of things. Just so long as it's in a linear fashion. Anyway, I don't really have anything else to impart. That's basic inventory with a little bit of variable knowledge for you. Hopefully that'll help you create some big adventures in the future. And in the meantime, this creation will be remixable after this video comes out, so if you want to mess around or use it in any way you see fit, feel free to do so. Check the description for information on how to find it in Dreams. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to support us, check the links in the description to our art pal and our coffee. You can also follow me on Twitter if you like Dreams content and unique and entertaining takes. In the meantime, goodbye.